Hello and welcome. It's Kate from Zen Stitching, and I'm super excited to join you today as part of our Making Zen Artist series. Today, I'm chatting with Casey Turner, who is the artistic face behind Express Your Art Soul, which I just absolutely love as your Instagram handle. Hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, it's so delighting to chat with you again because we've had a couple of chats, which is really
Yes,
lovely, and connecting about all the things that you're doing and that you're going to be teaching us at the Making Zen Online Retreat, which I'm super thrilled about because this is your first time.
yes.
Yes, and why I'm so delighted to have you join us is because we're bringing in your creativity, which is a lovely combination of soulfulness, mindfulness, and creativity on paper. But you then also take your paper into other art forms as well. Would you like to share a little bit about you and what you do?
Okay, well, I am a mother of five, and oldest is 24, the youngest is five. And then I'm a grandmother of five as well, which is very interesting.
I had no
Um,
idea you were a grandmother of five too.
I know, and they're all two and under.
Mm.
So it's a lot. It's very busy and chaotic.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I live in a super small town in Pennsylvania with my husband, and only two kids right now are at home. And yeah, that's basically it. I've been a stay-at-home mom for several years and kind of did like, part-time at home work. And then now I do art.
Yeah. And how did you kind of fall? I'm using the word fall, but how did you discover your creativity and going down the route that you now take with making
Okay.
and all that beautiful stuff?
Well, I have always been like a creative in some way. I've always done like art was my favorite class in school. When I was 10, we had to do a book in the English class, and we had to draw a picture of what we wanted to be when we grew up. And mine was an art teacher. And so I know. And so I've always like loved art, and I've always done something with my hands, whether it was, random commission work for painting a mural on somebody's bedroom wall, or I quilted and I sewed. My grandmother taught me. I crocheted. I can still do all those things, but I've done them for so many years as commission work, like baby quilts and diaper bags and just like handbags, quilted handbags, purses. And
Mhm.
then I did a lot of memory quilt, people that passed away and they had their clothing, and I would make them into a quilt or pillows or something. And then I was going to have another baby, later in life. And I just couldn't do all the things.
Mm.
And so I had stopped doing that. I had stopped working with my hands really and doing some kind of creativity. And then at the same time, when I was pregnant with my, 5-year-old I mentioned, my mother was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's.
Mm.
And she had just retired 6 months prior.
Oh no.
And so all of a sudden now we're like thrown into this diagnosis and what this journey looks like. And so in the fall of 2020, we know 2020 was just awful anyway. Well, my mother really like declined in
Mm.
2020 because of the isolation. And so in the fall of 2020, I had to take her car and I had to take her finances and I had to move her into like an independent living facility that was kind of like assisted. It was like she could be a little bit independent, but the assistance was there as she needed more assistance.
Mm. That's nice.
And so I started to like grieve the mother that I had always known. And so it was like I was in probably like a depressed state. And my sister actually had mentioned, she's like, why don't you do some kind of art? Because I've always done something and I hadn't been, right? I had
Mm.
a baby, a 1-year-old, and we were actually hosting international students. We had done that for years. And so there was just so much going on that there was no time for creativity, or like, I don't know, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And she's like, why don't you do some kind of art? Maybe that can be like a therapy. And so I discovered art journaling. And I went on Instagram and I discovered art journaling. And I was like, oh, yes, this is exactly what I need in my life. And so, in probably, I think it was the very end of November in 2020, I created my first art journal page. And I literally have not stopped because it became like an outlet, like an emotional release, like a safe and non-judgmental place to put my emotions and my, desperate prayers and my thankfulness and just all the things that build up throughout, the day.
Mm.
Where do we go with that? What do we do with that? And so I know that in the past, I have released on my children, my older children, when they were younger. There was just so much chaos, and I was a yeller.
Mm.
And so I didn't have a good, healthy outlet for emotional release. And so I'm really glad that I now have that, and that, my 5-year-old, she was 1 when I started. And so I'm that's what she knows. She knows mommy does art, and she loves to art journal with me sometimes, and she
Oh,
likes to do YouTube videos, and she thinks it's her channel.
how beautiful.
She says, welcome to our channel." um, but it really is a lifeline for me, because I do it almost daily as an emotional dump.
Mm.
All the stuff that goes on needs to go somewhere. And so if I don't release it somewhere safely, I may release it on someone I love. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So it really just has been such a wonderful thing. And then through that, through discovering art journaling through a really hard time, and my mom obviously has gotten worse, and she is now on hospice for over
Mm.
a year.
Mm.
And her time, we don't know how long that will be.
Mm.
But throughout that whole process, I have been able to art journal my way through this difficult journey, and get it out, and not keep it trapped inside where I can't actually feel the feelings or express the feelings, through that time of hardship and struggle and depression, and then finding art journaling. Now I'm teaching, I'm living my 10-year-old dream. So
Oh,
it's
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 beautiful.
really been incredible.
Yeah. Wow. What a journey. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing. It's delightful and fascinating to hear that you've tried all these different things, done all these different things, and through need discovered just how beneficial the art journaling can be, and just how centered and grounded that is for you, and helps
Mm-hmm.
you process all of these daily worries and thoughts and stresses, and just what life throws at us.
Mm-hmm.
I love hearing that through this process you have a good outlet. So, like, you can control your emotions and your
Mm-hmm.
all that, which is no small feat, particularly when particularly when you've got a chaotic life and you've got
Right.
all these things happening. It's very easy to get stressed and very easy to just like, yeah, get feel like things are out of control, isn't it, really?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I love hearing, because I was going to ask you, is your practice a daily practice? And you pretty much answered that
Mm-hmm.
when you said that that's how you like to work. Do you like to journal in the morning or the afternoon? Or say, for example, you might take 5 minutes break between things. How like, are you structured, or you just kind of do it whenever you feel like it?
I used to work in the evenings, like after everybody would go to bed and it was quiet. And, but that was when, like, I had international students here, we were hosting two, and then I had two living at home. And so it was like chaos during the day. And then everybody would go to bed, and I'm like, oh, it's quiet, and I can just dump the day-to-day goings on, whatever was happening that day.
Mm.
And now I've shifted that the last, I don't know how long, year or so, maybe, I don't really know. I have been getting up early, and I will, do the email checking and all those things. But I often will create then in the morning. And because then that's my quiet time now. That changed to my quiet time because I only have two kids here. My son goes off to high school at 7 in the morning, and then I have my 5-year-old, and we're doing homeschooling. We're trying homeschooling this year for kindergarten. And so I just leave her sleep. And then I have like, a couple hours, depending on the day, of that time that I can just have the quiet. The sun is coming in my window. And it's just, I don't know, it's a special time. And I've really enjoyed that shift of creating in the morning. And then I can just, maybe I'm processing or dumping the stuff from the day before. I'm starting my day fresh and like having that calm, that because I've released and I've created, and it's kind of calmed my soul, which maybe leads me into a better day. I don't know. But typically my daily creative practice is now has been in the morning,
Yeah.
for my personal time of creativity. But I can't just like sit for 5 minutes and create. No, like I'm all in, like I'm all in. I'm not one that comes and like leaves the journal open and stuff. I'm like, I'm committed, and it doesn't take me forever. I'm a quick art journaler. I don't know. I'm a quick person when I'm creating because I don't put a lot of thought into it. That's my place,
Mhm.
honestly, for releasing like perfection and giving up control and loosening up and being free. That's my place of no precision, no perfection. And so I'm just quick with it and I just let it naturally flow instead of overthinking and taking so much time. So
Mhm.
I'm like, I just get it out, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour tops, and go about my day.
Yeah. I love hearing that. And I love hearing that you're all in because I know I couldn't do it for 5 minutes. I know once I got started, I'd be like, oh, what happens if I do
Yes.
this? And oh, maybe I could do this too. And
Yeah.
that's drying, so I might as well work on something else whilst it's drying, kind of thing.
Oh, and I don't even do that. Somebody asked me one time, like, do you have so many journals going at one time, like three, like maybe at one time while there's drying time? There's no drying time here, friends. I'm like using a heat tool, I'm like, I'm drying it and I am moving on because that's, I guess, like maybe subconsciously, that time of creativity has an intention,
Mm,
because I'm releasing something, even if I'm not actually acknowledging it or realizing what I'm releasing. Sometimes I don't write anything, I just create. It
mm,
just naturally comes out, naturally happens.
mm.
And like I'm committed to that time. So if I stop, or if I wait for drying time and then I move on to something else, I don't really do that. I can't really do that in my brain because what I'm working on is a specific release of something. It
Yeah,
has a specific focus. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Mm.
So I'm all in, a 2-page spread with my little hair dryer to dry it. And then I can close the book. Actually, I leave it open, so I can like just walk by and like just peek at it. But and I go about my day and probably have to feed someone or a dog or a child. I'm always in the kitchen. If I'm not at my art desk, you'll find me in the kitchen.
Good place to be.
Yeah.
One of my favorite spots too.
Yes.
That's so fun to hear, and I love that you're very immediate, and that one of those reasons is because that you're processing something, and so it's going from up here and down into onto the page. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious because I haven't art journaled like that before. Do you set an intention before you start creating, and you kind of are working within like a theme or an emotion, or is it just like, okay, I'm here at my desk today and I'm going to do something, and
Yeah.
through the doing process, that's how you're
Mm-hmm.
processing everything
Mm-hmm.
up there
Yes.
as well?
Yes. Yes. It's definitely that second one because I typically, if it's just naturally for me, if there's, I have a Patreon page and things like that. So if I have to create for something, specifically for something, then it's different. But naturally for me, as my emotional release, as my healthy outlet, I oftentimes just know that I need to create. I know that I need to release it. And I will just grab a journal and start. And I think my warm up is always collage. It's always tearing paper and gluing it down. And typically vintage ephemera or like old book pages, sometimes, painty papers or, pattern paper, whatever. But I always start with tearing paper and gluing it down because that's like my warm up. It's like my loosen up. It's the giving up control because I'm tearing the paper. I'm not cutting it in specific ways. I don't have the sharp edges. I'm tearing it, which is kind of like serendipitous, right? You don't know how the tears are going to be. And then I just kind of glue it down. And I'm not precious about that layer because most often a lot of that will be covered up. But that's my loosen up, give up control, my warm up layer. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times after I do that, just things will start to flow. And I just let it naturally happen. I very rarely go into my creative time with a plan. Mm-hmm. or with an actual focus. Sometimes I might have certain feelings that I'm like really struggling with. I'll tell you, having adult children is way harder than I ever thought.
That's right.
I thought teen years were hard. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to burst everyone's bubble if your child is not at adult age yet, but having adult children is very hard. And so I work through that and those emotions that I've never had before, like things that I've never really experienced or things that are really out of my control. When our children are growing up, we have control there, right? We set consequences and boundaries and things like that. And adult children, you just have to watch. You just have to sit back and watch.
Yeah.
And so my journals have been carrying a lot of that. And so I might like have all these emotions and I'm putting it out there. But then through the process, there's like a calm that washes over because I've released it, because I've gotten paint on my fingers, because I tore paper and I scribbled. And a lot of times what I've been finding is that I end with words. I end with some kind of a phrase or some kind of like I'll write a prayer or something, but I end with the calm or like what I don't want to say learned, but what words or what thing came to my mind or kind of quieted me down as I was creating. Like, it's like I start with this heavy emotion, but then I end with like, okay, speaking truth to myself, and calming myself down or like, it just changes the focus a little bit. And then I end with the good stuff, So yeah, that's basically my process in a nutshell.
Oh, I love hearing it, and my fingers are itching to go and do something like that just over on the workbench over there. It's just like, I just want to go and tear and glue and paint.
Mm-hmm. It's so good. It's so good.
Good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And it's fascinating to hear the process too, so that through the making and the creating, your brain is working through it all, and then you're connecting with these words which are guiding you through the process of your life and day-to-day bits and pieces. It's so delightful. And I love it because I am a firm believer that we always know what's right for us, but we have to stop and listen. And sometimes we don't give ourselves the space to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is important to allow yourself to be still, allow yourself that stillness. And yes, I'm not being still, technically as I'm creating, but I'm quieting my spirit. I'm quieting my soul and allowing myself to just be still and just get it out there. And I think a lot of people struggle with art journaling because a lot of people that are like maybe control freaks or like perfection, they just struggle to tap in to being really open and loose and free with this form of journaling, with this form of creativity, because this isn't about, for me, this is not about just creating pretty pages. This isn't like a practice. Like, I'm not a canvas artist that practices in a journal so that I'm not like, making mistakes on a large substrate or something. This isn't like just a sketchbook that I'm playing around with or I'm experimenting with color palettes. This is not that for me. This is literally like my heart and soul on these pages. I'm going to cry for some reason. That snuck up. Um,
Well, it's because they are your heart and soul, and there's so much that you work through. And the lovely thing is you, from all of these experiences, hard and troubling, you're creating these really beautiful pages to look at and reflect upon.
yeah, absolutely. I think it goes so much deeper. And
Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't realize the benefit that art journaling can actually be.
yeah,
Um, because it can be so much deeper and so much more beneficial for your health and well-being, for your mental health. Um, if you allow yourself to really be open and, just kind of get rid of that perfection and control and just do it,
yeah,
just
yeah.
do it.
Just
Because
do it.
again, it is, your journals can handle it. Your journals can handle all your ugly stuff, because we got a lot of ugly, inside. We got a lot of emotion. We got a lot of stuff that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And your journals are a place that can handle it.
I love hearing that. And I completely can identify with the people that you're describing who are perhaps perfectionist, perhaps control freaks. I do struggle to do your style of creation. I admire it, I love it, and I don't know. What kind of tips would you have for me and people out there like me who want to do it, but just kind of, I don't know, can't quite get there? What would you suggest?
Oh,
Where to start?
I know where to start, Well, I think because I have it in my mind that this is not that precious to me. Yes, it's precious to me, like, because it's my heart and soul, but it's not precious to me that I'm not hanging it on my wall. Nobody is going to see it unless I show it to them, unless I share it on Instagram. No one has to see it. And it's not about the end result. It's not about how pretty it is at the end. It's about the process. It's
Mm,
about that emotional release that happens from the time you start, tearing paper and gluing it down to your final layer, whatever that is for you. It isn't about, oh, what is this going to look like in the end? And I think if you tap into that mindset of, this is not precious, this is not meant to be shown in a gallery, this is not meant to be shown to the world. This is my emotion today. This is my heart and soul today. And you can close it up and put it on your shelf.
mm,
It's like similar to a diary,
mm.
right? Like, we're not just sharing that with everybody, right? And
No.
so in that sense, I never was a diary girl. I just, to sit there and write and all this stuff, no. But give me some paint and some stuff to scribble and paper to glue, yes, I will do that.
Mm,
That's my form of diary, right?
yeah.
And so you're not going to show your diary to everybody unless are trying to be an influencer. I don't know. But so if you can wrap your head around that
Mm,
it's not about the end result. It's not about how pretty it is at the end. And my signature phrase that people tease me about, and they say I need a shirt with this phrase. There's nothing white gesso and collage paper can't cover.
mhm.
So if I make a mistake, if white gesso can't cover it, I'm gluing collage paper down and I'm covering it right up. Like, it's not like, if you don't like something, you're like, you know what? I'm just covering that up. I'm gonna add more paint. I'm gonna add more gesso. It's not a thing that you have to be so committed to. If
Mhm.
you're like, this is kind of unfinished, but you like it that way, leave it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, leave it. Now, if you're making something like, let's say, a quilted bag, you can't leave that unfinished, right? So, but that's why I love it, because
Mhm.
this is the place that I can be loose and free, and I don't care. I don't care if it's unfinished. I don't care if people think it's ugly or not, because there's really no ugly art. This is my expression of soul,
Oh,
And so I think if you just kind of tap into that mindset that it's not about the end result, it's not about everybody seeing it and thinking it is amazing. It is about the process that happens within you during that creative time.
yeah. And likening it to, say, a written diary or something like that, where you know, you're not going to show it because it's just you working through things or writing things down. That's really helpful because I think people can understand that kind of analogy. And also
Mm-hmm.
your suggestion of starting by tearing some things up and putting them on the page and then asking for it to invite you for what those next steps are once you've done
Mm-hmm.
that initial kind of playing with some materials.
Yes. And in my lesson, okay, let's jump to that quickly here.
Yes, yes.
I'm I'm I will show you the process that I do, not necessarily in a journal, but I'll show you the process that I do with my layering of mixed media supplies, and talk about kind of the benefit of them for me, or maybe how I gravitate towards certain things, or why I reach for this color or something like that. So it'll at least you'll at least be able to see my typical art journaling process, where I release and things like that, but with the supplies. I'll try to give you the tools and the techniques that I use on a daily basis, which
Wonderful.
might be really helpful in, like, okay, I have a journal here, even if it's a composition notebook. I have a book here, and maybe I can do this on my own.
Mm. Mm. Oh, I'm so thrilled. And so you're going to guide us through your process, which is so exciting. Can't wait. I'm going to follow it step by step too. And I then know that you're going to show us an even more exciting step. So we're learning how to do the creation on the paper. What happens next?
Okay, well, the creation on the paper can be like, we're just going to use like do mixed media on paper, right? So what we're going to do, basically, this is an example, but this is an example of a journal that I created. If you can see, the lighting might not be so great.
Mm.
But this, we're going to create a mixed media sheet similar to this, where we're doing all the layering, the process of layering that I typically do. And now I created a journal out of it. I made just an art journal. This is actually a gift for my Patreon people in the one of the tiers. So I have several of them here. It's all different kinds of. Now,
Cool.
obviously, I made them very similar because
Okay.
12 people are getting them. But so we will be doing something like this, where it's a larger sheet of my typical layers for art journaling, but we're just doing it on a sheet, which is less intimidating than maybe doing it in a journal.
Mhm.
And then we will be creating something with it. You want me to say the really exciting thing that we're going to do for the
Yeah,
VIP?
you bet. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Exciting.
Okay. So the really exciting thing for the VIP people is we are going to turn our mixed media sheet into little journals. So I made these little journals. These do not have art, but these do. Okay. So I find that some people are intimidated by working so small. It might be backwards. I'm not actually sure.
Oh no, that's all coming through. Be faithful.
Okay.
Gorgeous.
So I have a couple little like phrases or words that mean something to me.
Wow.
And then I created in here. It's kind of difficult sometimes to create so small. So that's why we're going to turn our mixed media sheet into a journal.
Wow.
Okay. So this is the earring version. Then this is the necklace version. And so once I open it, I have these wrapped because, it would be flopping open like this,
Mm.
hanging on my ears, which I kind of enjoy actually. So this, for me, this is my special one. I put verses in that like really mean something to me for the time of my life, right now. But so this is just a necklace journal.
Oh, wow.
And so I will show you in the VIP. Now, clearly, where's my other ones? I think I have one here yet.
There you go.
And so it's small, of course, it's small. And especially now I have a lot to fill, but especially if you're new to journaling, right? If you're new to journaling, this small kind of a substrate might be great for you because it's tiny, it's not big and overwhelming. For me, because I didn't start small, it was intimidating. I'm like, how do I even work so small? But rest assured, we're going to have the mixed media sheet that's already going to have art on it.
Mm.
And then we're going to turn it into some jewelry. And then if there's certain words that are like meaningful at the time, you can just write those on there. But the art is already done. So then you'll have some amazing earrings, really cool necklace, with art in it. And people will be like, oh my gosh, is there art in that? Yes, yes,
Yeah.
there is. And I made it myself.
Oh, I love it. That is so delightful, and I'm so thrilled and exciting. It's just like so much fun. It really is. It's delightful to capture all of these amazing techniques that you create, and then you can wear it, and you can either
Yes,
choose to share it to people by
right,
opening it up or just have it as a
right.
beautiful object as a necklace or earrings.
Yes. Well, and I think too, like, even not for yourself, I think these make incredible gifts.
Mm.
Like for book lovers, even if they're just by themselves, because the lessons for the VIP will have that you can just create them blank like these. Actually, these are probably in the lesson.
Mm.
Um, but like for book lovers or for like somebody that like would just love like a really cool unique gift, a journal necklace or earrings, I just think they make incredible gifts as well, so not only for yourself but for others.
Yes.
And with the mixed media sheet, there's so many options that you can do with a mixed media sheet like this, like just so many different things: tags, bookmarks, journals, collage paper. You can make a big sheet and then tear bits of it up and use it in your journals. Like there's so many options.
Mm. Oh my goodness. It's never ending goodness.
Yes, it is. It definitely is.
It is. Oh, and I love it. And one of the recurring themes that seems to be coming out from all my conversation with the artists who are part of Making Zen is the just doing it process, getting in, making, seeing what happens, and then through all of that process, you want to keep doing it. You want to keep doing more. So it's kind of feeding that creative wheel to keep
Right,
getting excited and inspired. I just love it.
right.
Casey, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I'm so excited for your workshop. I love the whole process. Thank you so much for taking us on a journey through your creativity and the just the benefits that have been associated with it. It's amazing. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to share it. I often say in my bios when everybody, when people need a bio for me, I'm like, I just want to shout from the rooftops about the benefit of art journaling. I just think so many people don't realize how good it can actually be for your soul. And yeah, I just want to tell everyone.
Well, let's share. We'll share it with everyone and we'll get so inspired. And I know we're just going to see so many beautiful mixed media sheets and earrings
Yes.
and
Oh,
necklaces
I can't
you
wait.
created. So
I can't
exciting.
wait. I'm so excited.
Thank you for joining me in this creative journey. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And if you'd like to learn more about Making Zen, please check out the links below where you can find out all about the workshops and creativity, community, and all that kind of good stuff. Wishing you many happy hours of stitching.